What's up, people? Hmm. You're good. What's going on here? I'm a web application to get a list of rankings for Melee, given some bracket links. It's pretty fancy. Well, it doesn't look that fancy yet, but you know, we'll get there. Looks hard. Maybe. The key is to break it down to manageable parts. It's like the challenge thing. Yeah, I take challenge links. And right now, my big task is to also take in Smash GG links. So I haven't touched this in a while, so it's gonna take some time to get used to the API I made. Wait, so you get the MMR from Smash GG and implement it in like a bracket system? Kind of. So I'm not getting the MMR from Smash GG, I'm calculating the MMR myself using this. All I'm getting from Smash GG is the list of matches. So let's say there's 3 players A, B, C, and A beats B, B beats C, but C beats A. That would be like a list of matches. And then, given those matches, I generate a rating for each player A, B, C. It's a lot of math to do. So the math's already taken care of. You're right, it is a lot of math to do, but somebody already made an implementation for the math. So like all of this, like it's already done, so to speak. So all I have to do is to call the Smash GG API and then I can, you know, hopefully get something going. So what I have to do is I have to take my existing code and get the right stuff from Smash GG. Yeah, this code is pretty antiquated in the sense that I'm manually doing string parsing to get the data I need. But it's fine. I'll only call this old code if it's a challenge. Let's see. Multiple URLs. Here we go. Multiple URLs. Threading.thread. Okay, so guess I make some threads, which is fine. Add match pair to list. Okay, add match pair to list. Where's that? API key. Where do I call parse link? Do I ever parse a different link? Alright, time for a water break. I might need to make a Smash GG only implementation and see how I can fit it in. So let's do that. Get data from Smash GG bracket API. I remember I've been here before. I'm already part of Discord. So I need to learn new API. Okay, fine. Learn about GraphQL, how it works, and how to use it in a series of articles. Link for documentation about how to build a GraphQL service. There are libraries to help you implement GraphQL in many different languages. In-depth learning experience with practical tutorials visit the How to GraphQL full stack tutorial website. Okay, query language. Okay, maybe what I should do is make a script that does this and then integrate this. Yeah. So okay. Okay, I'm gonna make a new project then. Let's call this Smash GG only. Oops. Where is it? Smash GG only. Okay. Okay. Initialize a git repository command line. So we're gonna do this. Start a new git repository. Git init. Let's add a project folder. Dropbox, Smash GG only. Okay. Let's make a, whoops, readme.md. Smash GG only. This contains code for grabbing info from Smash GG. GG. The goal is to have a list of matches. I.e. A, B, new line, B, C, new line, C. I given 3 players A, B, and C would be a potential list of matches. Okay. Okay. So I should probably make a new repo for this. GG only. That's fine. Wow. Adrenaline. Adrenaline. Thanks for the follow, my guy. Or girl. Or, you know, human. Android. Alright. You said it right the first. Adrenaline. Cool. Okay. So I have it initialized. Now, okay. So we already have the readme commit. First commit. Okay. Big. We'll use that email. CSSM.edu. Big. Played the other day and you followed me on Twitter. Oh! I remember now. You were that sick Falco from Hawaii. Sweet. Welcome to the stream, man. We're only doing boring things like coding, so if you're not into that, I understand. I'm just trying to make bracket. It's the Hawaii guy, exactly. True. What's up, Binion? Okay. That's right. I have such a famous person as Dark Atma in my stream. We're honored by your presence. Okay. Why do I need to do this? Okay, let's do this, I guess. Branch remain. Branch remain failed. Okay, whatever. I don't think it's... Why did they change it to main? Why did they change get to main instead of master? Named main instead of master part of the company's effort to remove unnecessary references to slavery and replace them with more inclusive terms. Okay. True. You know what? I agree. I condone anti-slavery. So, git branch m main. Branch rename failed. Branch rename failed. Local branch. Change branch name from master to main. Yeah. Yep. Okay. So I get there's a file head opener in a text editor. Okay. So head. See ref heads master, change master to main. Okay, cool. Main. Good. And then what? Just remain master. Okay. Git branch. Okay, cool. Nice. Did that. Okay. What's next? Okay, we're gonna eventually learn GraphQL, I guess. It's probably like a Python wrapper for that. Okay. What am I doing? Okay. Pushing this. Git remote add origin. Okay. origin main. Failed to push some refs to, or source ref spec main does not match me. Source ref spec does not match any. No idea what's going on, but seems sick, lol. So I'm trying, okay, so here's what my website looks like right now. So suppose you had a list of brackets. You wanted to, okay, so you want to find out, okay, in my region, in Hawaii, let's say Hawaii, okay? So in Hawaii, I have a bunch of tournaments that ran, and I want some objective measure of who's better than who. Like I want to know like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So given that you have these tournament URLs or brackets, you want to output a list of, you know, what I just said, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So what you can do is you can, with my current website or web app, whatever you want to call it, you can paste in a list of brackets, and what it will do, okay, well, that's because my thing's not running right now, but what it would do, it's have to be Challenge or Smash GG works. So right now it only works with Challenge, but I want to make it work with Smash GG, and that's what we're doing right now, this stream. Gotcha, yep, that's sick, yeah. So wait, that's not all. Check out, okay, this takes a while because I implemented it really slow, but okay, look, check this out, all right? So I just put in a list of tournament URLs, and it gave me a graph of player performances over time, and I have a list of all, you know, all the people who participated. And given the Glicko, so if you know what ELO is, like in chess, like you get like a ranking or matchmaking rating, MMR, you mark number 1, I'm down. Bluetooth number 9, let's go. Back before I was retired, back in my heyday. I beat Trock at this tournament, and Jack. So, once upon a time I wasn't washed up. Or they just weren't good yet, you know, one or the other. But hey, I have that on them lifetime, so. Does it take into account games or is it just sets? No, it doesn't take into account games. I don't think I've ever seen a system that takes into account games. I guess if it were like a ladder system where every single game counts, but I think even on ladder, like whatever Slippy will be, probably the ladder will take into account sets instead of games, so. Like, and also I think it's the main reason is that counter picks are super polarizing, so like I think sets is a balanced way to do it. Okay, I thought it did some take account games, which I didn't agree with. No, okay, yeah, you're good. We're doing sets, not games, so don't worry about that. Okay, this should, oh yeah, I didn't do this yet. Okay, so that's what I want to do, or that's what I have. Only works with Challenge, and now I want to put it make it work with Smash GG brackets, because everybody's using Smash GG now. So yeah, I'm not doing anything explicitly melee related. You could theoretically do this with like chess or whatever. Your house looks real nice. Thanks. It's my apartment. I live in a nice place in Northern California. It's pretty luxurious, I have to say. Yeah, you can borrow my phone. Here you go. Okay, I was trying to initialize this git push. So, okay. Source ref spec doesn't match any. Okay, I like to go on Stack Overflow. Git add. Oh, did I not add anything? Readme. First commit 2. Let's git push u origin main. Okay, cool. Branch main, set a track remote branch main. Okay, cool. Nice. I should change this to be better. So, list of matches. For example, given 3 players A, B, C. B, C, C, A. Be a potential list of matches. Okay. Let's add readme, commit, add, or modify readme, push. What would happen if you input every single online tournament in 2020? Exactly. That's what I want to do. That would be hype as hell. I would get like a list or I would get exactly what I showed you earlier, like something like this. Where was I? Where's that page? Did I close it? Well, whatever I showed you earlier. Here, I'll pull it up again. But yeah, I would get like a graph and a list of rankings, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We would know based on the Glicko system who, is top whatever. And it could go all the way down. Like it's not limited to like top 8. You can get every single player who's ever played. If you've heard of GarPR, he was doing something like this, but he retired the project, and then because people were moving to Bracket. But the reason I'm doing this now is that Bracket was messing up some important things, and I don't know, they're just like, okay, we have a thing that works kind of, it's buggy, but it works. So yeah, here I am. Spoiler alert, the Bracket thing doesn't actually work. So here I am. Yep, we're starting from scratch. I have a Glicko website, it has all this code, but I think that what I did before, like this code is like more than 5 years old. So right now I'm starting from scratch so I can make stuff that isn't complete garbage. So right now, the way I do this is I look at every single character in like whatever challenge gives me. I get something for challenge, I take it, I look at every single character and I'm like, okay, does it have a colon? Okay, now look here. And if this thing that has a colon has these braces, yeah, it's really, really inefficient. So I'm starting over in some sense. Okay, let's call this get matches.py. Are you gonna work with a graphic designer and make it pretty afterwards too? That's right, my wife is a graphic designer, so maybe I could hire her. I'm just kidding, I wouldn't hire her. I would do favors for her. That's so perfect. It is. It's actually, we are the dream team, honestly. Right now it looks like complete garbage compared to like what nice things look like something my wife could make. But yeah, okay. What am I doing next? Okay, so now I need to, okay, so let's make an outline. Let's call it get matches. Let's say it takes a URL as input and returns a list. So L list of matches, return list of matches. Let's make it an empty list first. Define main, I think this is how they define it. Main function Python, I always forget. Actually, you two could do so much with your tool sets. We could. We're actually nuts. Like in theory, we are like it's like if Mango and Hungrybox teamed.
Cool. Let's try this.
But we all know that's never gonna happen.
Can we take a break?
You wanna take a break?
Can we try this new tablecloth?
Wanna try this new tablecloth? Can we try it like tomorrow? Okay, let's do it now. Alright, tablecloth time. Wowie, hello Peter Panda Dance. Hello Elysium. Alright, we are about to replace a tablecloth. Or have a tablecloth. You don't like this color? Tablecloth time. Wow. Alright, but it should help us clean the table, right?
Yeah.
Do we have to take everything off of the table?
Yeah.
Alright. You're coming off the table. Alright. Oh. It's okay. We can, we were gonna have to do this at some point. So, might as well do it now. Wow. What? Yeah. We are resetting the table so that we can put a tablecloth on it. It'll be so worth it. It really makes sense that your house looks so nice knowing your wife is a graphic designer. True.
I'm not graphic.
Alright, she's not a graphic designer, she's just a designer. Which is even better, right? You're what?
I'm not graphic designer.
You're not a graphic designer? What kind of designer are you? Product designer? Let's see, product designer. True.
Many things graphic designer. Salary is too low.
I see. Yeah, that's not where the money is, right? Graphic design.
Also, I'm not good at it.
Oh, so you're not good at it? Okay. True. Alright. Guess I'm not working with a graphic designer. Ooh, product designer, yeah.
Why do they know I'm not graphic designer?
Well, it's because I told them that you are a designer, but I wasn't sure. I don't know. I just know you do all this stuff with design and a lot of graphics too. So I was like, oh, that sounds like graphic design.
Really? Designer.
Web designer. I see. Well, that's actually perfect. Because I'm making a web application.
See your side is so messy.
So messy and so dirty, yeah. True.
Because we don't want to throw away this,
We don't want to throw away what?
this table, right?
Yeah. We don't want to throw away the table, you're right.
So we want to keep it.
It's fine, she could probably do graphic design stuff anyway. Designers can dabble in a bunch of different things. True. She took so many classes on so many different things, right? So she is versatile. Oh. That's just me telling me to drink some water. Water check. Drink water. Chat, drink your water right now.
You're babysitting.
Yeah, I'm babysitting my viewers. You're correct.
Do you want to wipe up your...
Yeah, definitely. Maybe I should turn the camera over here so they can see what's going on. Wow, it's empty. Empty table. You guys see that? It's completely empty. My wife is like, just clean it, okay? Stop talking to your stream. Pay attention to me, not to your stream.
How do you know that?
I just know, based on your actions.
Do you?
Yeah.
Very good. No, but if in the future, if someone comes to our place for a dinner or something,
You want to eat it with this table?
Yeah.
Yeah. We could eat dinner on this table. That's true. It's bigger than our current dining table, right?
Yeah, I mean, more people come over.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Wow, the table is so much cleaner than before. Wow. Alright, time for a tablecloth, right?
I think I see one tablecloth, but it's even more expensive than this table itself. So I
Oh.
was like,
Why were you getting a tablecloth that's more expensive than the table?
yes.
True.
But
Don't have
that's
to do
when-
that.
这个太长了。
Too big? But that's okay, right? What do you think of this tablecloth? What kind of desk is that? It's the $20 one from Target. It's foldable. I'm watching a bunch of PC setup videos recently. Yeah, I just got the one that folds at Target. It's pretty nice.
Yeah,
Pretty convenient.
because back then we don't have a table.
Yeah, we didn't have a table back then, so now we have one. It's pretty nice, and we're improving with the tablecloth. Wow. Feels nice. This is good enough? This too big? Here, let's show you guys the view. Can you guys see? Wow. It's so long. Oh, look at my Alienware. Ooh. Ooh. You wanna say hi? You're on stream. Alright. It's not meant to be. Looks like some alien equipment, yeah. It's pretty nice looking.
你觉得？
嗯？
觉得不好看，
You don't like how it looks? 为什么？
就是不好看。
为什么？
No reason, just not looking.
Doesn't look good.
Doesn't looking good. 我真的要去买那个99块钱的那个 tablecloth.
It looks better.
Yeah.
Well, we can go to the 99-cent store if you want.
不是，它没有那个 quality，它的 quality 和它的 color 都很奇怪。虽然这个只要20刀。
Yeah.
Let me see.
Yeah, but can we use it now?
Yeah, we can use it for now. To use it.
It's time to play some piano. Alright, where is it? Where is it? Can you guys hear this piano? Welcome to Taiki. Okay. That was fun. How do you like your new tablecloth? I'm talking to you, Yushi. Beautiful. Nice. I'm doing 50 push-ups a day, yes. "50 push-ups a day, I think it's doable. I just finished day 7.
But eventually I want a writing desk instead of.
You want a writing desk?
Yeah,
What does that mean?
like just a work desk.
You want like an office desk?
Yeah, office desk.
I see.
Eventually.
That sounds good.
Because I try to modify this arm. It doesn't looking good.
You don't think this looks good? Drama-tan! That's too bad.
I'm sad too.
Is your monitor okay?
Something happened to me. I was like, oh, this happened before. I never could.
That's not gonna happen to me. 1 second later happens to you, huh?
I was trying to prove that nothing happened to me.
Some things you just have to learn the hard way.
好吧，我就不管，我就做事情。I don't
Good.
have it.
You guys know how Nun has like 5 cameras? Thinking about doing something similar. Be pretty hype. Ooh, look at this setup. Ooh, my nice razor. Ooh, look at that. Look at this. Look at this. We just bought this, what's this called?
What?
Yeah, what's this called?
Assembly.
Huh?
I assemble it itself.
Can you repeat that to the stream?
I assemble it by myself.
Oh, you set it up by yourself?
Yes.
That's right, I was working. You are correct. It's
Just
pretty nice.
Desk. What is this called? I forget.
I don't remember too. I forgot the name too. You two share a desk. Haha, true couple. You're right. It's pretty cute. Bro, he can coding and play piano. He's yoked. I don't know what yoked means. His wife is a designer. What can't he do? True. Also has a sick Falco. Dude, you too. I would love to play you sometime. Sick wood thingy. There you go. That's what it's called. It's a wood thingy. UrbanDictionary.com. Yoked. To be in a state of extreme muscular fitness. All right. Let's not go too far. All right. My Falco, it's sick sometimes, but yoked, I can barely do 50 push-ups. So, all right, let me pull up the right chat, because I'm streaming to multiple platforms, so I need to set up my chats. Dude, 50 push-ups is not that much. Have you ever seen the anime One Punch Man? That guy is yoked. Hell yeah, that's right. Kind of where I got the inspiration for the routine. There we go. All right. Okay, we're back. Back to our planned scheduling. Okay. Let's call this let's call this function. Wow. Okay. And if name equals main, call main. Okay. Let's see if this compiles. Well, not compiles. It runs. Okay, so it runs. Remove the 10 kilometers running thing. It doesn't look as bad a routine, to be honest. That's true. 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, 100 squats every day. That's doable. What do you think about that? Yeah? Yeah, maybe we'll do that challenge. Yeah, doable but hard. I agree. Be nice to do that challenge sometime. Okay. Get matches. Start get matches. I like to commit a lot. It's like pressing Control S, you know, every 3 minutes. Gotta commit every 3 minutes, otherwise it feels weird. Okay, let's try getting one bracket from Smash GG. Actually, let's do a Stanford one. Stanford biweekly, no. We can't use, gotta use Smash GG. Smash.gg. Wait, your Control S auto commits? No. I'm saying that the reason I commit every 3 seconds is the same reason you would Control S every 3 seconds. Tournament Smash.gg. Smash.gg tournament. What's our tournament series called? The tree? Wait. Hold on. Wait. Summer of Smash. Okay, I remember this one. Stanford Melee. Let's just do this. Let's just do this one. Oh, wait. There we go. Wait, that's challenge still. Okay, the first Stanford bi-weekly. All right, this is what we want. Okay, so get matches. Let's pass in this URL. Let's see if we can get what we need. Okay, where's our water? Water's here. Here you go. Drink some water, please. Oh, I hid my chats. Okay, cool. Chat is back online. What do you think, stream? Is coding boring or what? But the result, though, the result's gonna be real sweet. Don't worry about that part. Okay, we need to learn GraphQL. Okay. I'm here for the ASMR sounds. True. I should just go to, what's the idea here? So the input, okay, let's go with motivation. I should probably like write this down in a Google Doc so I can like have a command like a motivation, and then you can just read the Google Doc. You know what? Let's do that. What was I thinking? Saying the idea and not doing it? Okay, but TLDR, I have tournaments in my, let's say chess, okay? I have local tournaments, and I want to find out who the best chess player is. And I want to find out not just who the best chess player is, like who's better than who, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like a leaderboard, you know? So what I want to do is get a list of tournament URLs, and given those URLs, I want to output a list of matches. And using those list of matches, so let's, like, for example, a list of matches would be like, let's say you had 3 players, A, B, and C. So if A beats B, that's one match. And then B beats C, that's the second match. And then if C beats A, that's the third match. So given that list, I can see, okay, B is better than A, who's better than C, or whatever, you know. That's what I want. I want to see, man, I have I have a thing that does the thing. So vague. I have a website that actually outputs some results. So, for example, check this out. Ooh, look at this. You get for the most important thing is you have a list of, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, who's better than who, and then even better, you have a graph of player performance over time. Ideally, in the future, this would be like really interactive. I think I need to learn like Node.js to really make this happen, or I could just, but whatever. Yeah, this is what I want. Given list of URLs, it's gonna be lit. Okay, explaining is not that bad. It doesn't take that much time. I'll just do it every single time somebody says, "What's the idea here?" And I'll be like, "Check this out." It'll take like 30 seconds. Okay, I'll get better at it over time. Okay, and then so I need to use the SmashGG API. In order to use the SmashGG API, I need to learn GraphQL. What's the difference between the thing you showed and what you're creating now? So the thing I showed only works with challenge.com brackets. I want my thing to work also with SmashGG brackets. So I'm not really creating something new. I'm really adding functionality to this, but my code for the old thing is so outdated, antiquated. Like, look at this. I'm like literally finding colons and commas, and then like based on, okay, did you find a comma? Okay, do this. Okay, start here, and I'm like doing some manual string parsing instead of using like a JSON soup parser. So, or not even like a soup, but you get the idea. It's bad. Okay, so I'm not needing this. Got it, yep. So right now I'm only focusing on making it work with SmashGG. Okay, GraphQL authentication account, do this later. Okay. Do I want to learn about why GraphQL is a thing, or do I want to just learn how to do it? GraphQL is the better rest. Okay, Hacker News clone. Okay. Okay, sounds lit.
Welcome to the first chapter of How to GraphQL. We're going to start with a basic introduction to give some perspective on this new technology. So what is GraphQL? GraphQL is a new API standard that provides a more efficient, powerful, and flexible alternative to REST. It was developed and open sourced by Facebook and is now maintained by a large community of...
Okay, I need to put in headphones. I mean, I have a headset, but it's not as comfortable as you'd imagine. Okay, and I need to put my speakers up here. I'm behind the camera. Now I'm in front of the camera. Okay. Okay. Sony earbuds. Best earbuds ever made. I'm a Sony stan.
companies and individuals from all over the world. At its core, GraphQL enables declarative data fetching, where a client can specify exactly what data it needs from an API. Instead of multiple endpoints that return fixed data structures, a GraphQL server only exposes a single endpoint and responds with precisely the data that a client asked for. So how does it all work? Most applications today have the need to fetch data that's stored remotely in some database that's accessible over the internet. That's what servers are used for. Whenever a client needs some information that it wants to display to the user, it sends a request to the server. The server is programmed in a way that it can respond to the request by retrieving the appropriate information from the database and then sends it back to the client. Before we dive deeper into the technical details in the next chapter, let's understand a bit of the historic context in which the concept of REST was developed. REST has been a popular way to expose data from a server. When the concept of REST APIs was developed, client applications were relatively simple and the development speed wasn't nearly where it is today. REST thus was a good fit for many applications. However, the API landscape has radically changed over the last couple of years. In particular, there are three factors that have been challenging the way how APIs are designed. Increased mobile usage, low-powered devices, and sloppy networks were the initial reasons why Facebook developed GraphQL. GraphQL minimizes the amount of data that needs to be transferred over the network and thus majorly improves applications operating under these conditions. The heterogeneous landscape of front-end frameworks and platforms that run client applications make it difficult to build and maintain one API that would fit the requirements of all the different clients. With GraphQL, each client can access precisely the data it needs. Continuous deployment has become a standard for many companies. Rapid iterations and frequent product updates are indispensable. With REST APIs, the way how data is exposed by the server often needs to be modified to account for specific requirements and design changes on the client side. This hinders fast development practices and product iterations. Now that we've got a bit more perspective on the concept of REST, let's go and understand a bit more about the history of GraphQL and how it came to be. Facebook started using GraphQL already in 2012 in their native mobile apps. Interestingly though, GraphQL mostly has been picked up to be used in the context of web technologies and has gained only little traction in the native mobile space. The first time Facebook publicly spoke about GraphQL was at React.js-Con 2015, and shortly after they announced their plans to open source it. Because Facebook always used to speak about GraphQL in the context of React, it took a while for non-React developers to understand that GraphQL was by no means a technology that was limited to usage with React. In fact, GraphQL is a technology that can be used everywhere where a client communicates with an API. It's interesting to note that other companies like Netflix or Coursera were working on comparable ideas to make API interactions more efficient. Coursera envisioned a similar technology to let a client specify its data requirements, and Netflix even open sourced their solution called Tadpole. After GraphQL was open sourced, Coursera completely canceled their own efforts and hopped on the GraphQL train. Today, GraphQL is used in production by lots of different companies such as GitHub, Twitter, Yelp, or Shopify, to name only a few.
Wow, Smash GG not on that list.
To GraphQL, such as GraphQL Europe or the GraphQL Summit in San Francisco. There are more resources like the GraphQL Radio podcast and GraphQL Weekly newsletter that keep you up to date about everything that's happening in the GraphQL ecosystem. This was it already for the first chapter of How to GraphQL. In the next chapter, we're going to get a bit more technical and discuss why GraphQL is the better REST.
Wow, what's the word? Not scuffed, but some reason I can't think of the word where, like, wow, all these big name companies and Smash GG's not on that list. Smash GG got blank. What word goes there? Whatever. New API standard, robbed. Yeah, robbed. That sounds right. Smash GG robbed 2020. Okay. Biggest components of... Also, I really appreciate Adrenalion that you're sticking around to for this stuff. I'm not even playing Melee. But it's for the purpose of helping out Melee. I appreciate your support emotionally. Okay, it finds that client can load data from a server, declare data fetching more efficient because of these reasons. Okay, cool. Not just for that. Okay. Saw Melee in your time, I was like, dope, Melee, and they came all confused. Ooh. I'm sorry, this is technically in the science and technology section. I shouldn't be such a clickbaiter. But, hey, Slippy, okay? Rollback isn't necessarily Melee specific, so... But his end product is Melee specific. I think it's data... Oh, it's not. Oh, Shiba. Yes, okay. Well done, you unlocked the next chapter. Woo! Fireworks. I just dumb Falco no read. You're not dumb, dude. I'm just a scammer. GraphQL is the better rest. Okay, fine. Let's learn about this.
Welcome to the second chapter of How to GraphQL. In this chapter, you'll learn why GraphQL is the better alternative to RESTful APIs. Over the past decade, REST has become the standard for designing web APIs. It does offer some great ideas, such as stateless servers and structured access to resources. REST itself actually is a strict specification of how a server has to expose its data to the clients. However, today almost all APIs are labeled to be RESTful APIs, even if they don't adhere to that specification. REST APIs have shown to be too inflexible to keep up with the rapidly changing requirements on the clients that access them. GraphQL was developed to cope with the need for more flexibility and efficiency in client-server interaction. It solves many of the shortcomings and inefficiencies that developers experience when interacting with REST APIs. To get a better feeling for the differences between GraphQL and REST, let's consider the example of a simple blogging application where we want to show a user's profile screen. On that screen, we want to show the user's first name. We also want to render all the posts that the user has ever created. And finally, we also want to display the last.
By the way, hydrate check. Make sure you're drinking water right now. Go grab a sip, cup, whatever. Do it now.
3 followers, because on our blogging app, it's possible to follow each other to see the news whenever a user publishes a new post. How would we tackle this particular screen?
But I'm lazy, dude. You need water, man. Do it. Drink purple. I got you. Nice. Good one. Good job, Hephaestus.
With a REST API. In REST, we would typically have 3 different endpoints that would allow us to fetch the required data. The first endpoint is the user's ID endpoint, where we can obtain the information about one particular user that's identified by the ID that we're passing in the URL. Then we would also have a /users/ID/posts endpoint that would return all the posts for a specific user. And finally, we also would have the /users/ID/followers endpoint, and here we would get back all the followers of the user that's identified by the ID that we're passing.
It's a nice emote.
URL. So let's walk through the flow that we would need inside the application to fetch all the data that we need to display the user's profile screen. The first step would be to fetch the data about the particular user. Here we would hit the /users/ID endpoint to get information about the user that's identified by a particular ID. The server would
Wow, Grehen. What up?
respond with all the information that it has currently stored about that user. But notice that at this point, we're not only downloading the user's name that we want to display inside the application, but we're also downloading additional information that is
Ooh, okay, this is what I want. So I want to fetch the user data. Right now, I get this from Challenge, the JSON, and this is the key right here. So how do I get this stuff?
point in time is not relevant to the application, such as the user's address or the birthday. By downloading this additional data, we're putting weight on the user's data plan with information that's actually not required in the app. This is not a desirable situation. But now at least we have access to the user's name and can display it on the profile screen. The next step for us is going to be to download all the posts of the user. And for that, we're going to use the /users/ID/posts endpoint.
What are you up to? How's it going, first of all? So you know how League has matchmaking system, right? MMR, and they have you can see who's the top 200 in NA, right? So I want to do that, but for Melee. But instead of having a central place where people match against each other, people compete in different tournaments. So I'm just making that ranking thing for Melee. So for example, you can see here's a list of players, top whatever, and you can see player performance over time. So I want to do this. So I have this works. It only works for one website. I need to make it work with a new, more popular website. That's what we're doing. In order to do that, I need to learn this thing called GraphQL. So here we are watching videos about GraphQL.
That we're hitting with the user's ID. This time, the server returns all the information about the posts of that user that are stored in the database. And notice again that we're downloading a lot of additional information that's not really relevant to the app because we really only want to display the title of each post. But again, at least we've got access to the post.
So right now, basically, my thing grabs this. So you see this thing, this big block of text. My thing grabs that from Challenge, but I need to be able to grab that from smesh.gg. So now that people are using Smash.gg instead of challenge, I gotta update my application. Also, I wouldn't be doing this if the thing that people said they were switching to worked. Like, people were like, oh, we have this now, this thing called Bracket. Bracket is great, it looks cool, but it just doesn't work. So now I gotta come in and, make my own thing that actually works.
Tables now, so we can render them inside our application. And finally, to implement the last requirement of our profile screen, we have to hit the /users/id/followers endpoint to fetch the followers for the users whose profile screen we're showing. We're sending a GET request to the API again, and the server responds with the information about the followers. And notice again, we're downloading a lot of additional data that we don't actually want to display, and we actually also only want to display the names of the last 3 followers, but there might be hundreds or even thousands of followers associated with that user that we're now also downloading. But again, we can at least render the information inside our app. Now, you could, of course, design your API in the way that it exposes the data in the way that it's more appropriate for that particular profile screen, but this is also not really the ideal way to go. In today's application, you want to be able to iterate quickly on your designs and experiment with different features. If you had to go and adjust the API every time you update the design on the front end, then you're not able to iterate quickly on the product. So how can you solve that same situation with a GraphQL API? With GraphQL, you would only have a single endpoint that would be used by all the different clients that want to retrieve data from the server. So with GraphQL, you would actually...
Wait, what did he just say?
So how can you solve that same situation with a GraphQL API? With GraphQL, you would only have a single endpoint that would be used by all the different clients that want to retrieve data from the server. So with GraphQL, you would actually only send a single request to the server, and the server would respond with all the information that you need. The way how this works is by sending a post request to the server, where you, in the body of that request, you include a query that describes all the data requirements of the client. So in this case, we're asking for the user with a particular ID, and then we can specify all the data that we want from that user. So we want the name of that user, we want to have the titles of the posts of that user, and we want to have the names of the last 3 followers. When the server receives that query, it will process and resolve it to fetch exactly the data that's specified in the query and read it from the database. It will then package it up into a JSON object that it just returns to the client. This is what the response will look like. So the root field in this JSON object is called data, and that's what's specified in the official GraphQL specification. And then it returns just all the information that you want to display in the user's profile. So exactly what we specified in the query is now going to be returned to the client, and we can use all that information to render it inside our application on the profile screen. So now that we have a better understanding of the technical differences between GraphQL and REST, let's move on to discuss a couple of other high-level differences between them and see what other benefits GraphQL has compared to REST. So first, we eliminate the problem of over and underfetching. And these are exactly the problems that we just encountered in our example scenario. So the problem of overfetching means that we're downloading unnecessary data into our application and thus exhausting the user's data plan with information and data that's not required at this particular point in time. The problem of underfetching, on the other hand, means that a specific endpoint doesn't return enough of the right information, so we have to go and send multiple requests. And this could go and escalate into the n+1 request problem, which means that we have a list of items that we fetch from the server, but for each of these items, we need more information that we get from a dedicated endpoint. So we actually have to send one additional request for each item that we downloaded initially just to get that information. One way how we could have solved the problem of underfetching in our previous example would have been by exposing an API endpoint that returns exactly the data that was needed for the profile screen. This is a common pattern in REST APIs to structure the endpoints according to the views that you have inside your application. This is handy since it allows for the client to get all required information for a particular view by simply accessing the corresponding endpoint. The major drawback of this approach, though, is that it doesn't allow for rapid product iterations on the front end. With every change that is made to the UI, there is a high risk that now there is more or less data required than before. Consequently, the backend needs to be adjusted as well to account for the new data needs. This kills productivity and notably slows down the ability to incorporate user feedback into a product. With GraphQL, this problem just doesn't exist anymore. Thanks to the flexible nature of GraphQL, changes on the client side can be made without any extra work on the server. This enables faster feedback cycles and product iterations. GraphQL allows to have fine-grained insights about the data that's requested on the backend. As each client specifies exactly what information it's interested in, it is possible to gain a deep understanding of how the available data is being used. This can, for example, help in evolving an API and deprecating specific fields that are not requested by any clients anymore. With GraphQL, you can also do low-level performance monitoring of the requests that are processed by your server. GraphQL uses the concept of so-called resolver functions to collect the data that's requested by a client. Instrumenting and measuring performance of these resolvers provides crucial insights about bottlenecks in your system. Another major benefit of GraphQL is its type system. GraphQL uses the strong type system to define the capabilities of an API. All the types that are exposed in an API are written down in a schema using the GraphQL schema definition language. This schema also serves as the contract between the client and the server to define how a client can access the data. Once the schema is defined, the teams working on the front end and the back end can do their work without further communication since they both are aware.
Oh, typo. Uh-oh. These guys aren't legit. This GraphQL, this is trash API. I'm just kidding. It's a joke.
Of the definite structure of the data that's sent over the network. Front-end teams can easily test their applications by mocking the required data structures. Once the server is ready, the switch can be flipped for the client apps to load data from the actual API. This was it for the second chapter of How to GraphQL. In the next chapter, we'll introduce the core concepts of GraphQL and talk specifically about GraphQL queries, mutations, subscriptions, and the schema definition language.
Cool. Okay. GraphQL is about REST. Data fetching. Okay. Cool. No more over and under fetching. Okay. Cool. Downloading superfluous data. Fetching in the n+1. Okay. Rapid product iterations on the front end. Wow. Insightful analytics on the back end. Benefits of schema type system. What is the benefit of the GraphQL schema and strong type system? If you want to mess with that, Twitch has a hidden GraphQL endpoint too. Ooh. Twitch GraphQL. On GitHub, pictures. He's gotten Twitch on GraphQL and what he wishes he knew at the start. Okay. Hard paradigm shift. Data and relationships between data instead of endpoints. Interesting. Not that I know REST, but sounds like this should be way better and easier. Scalable. Who blew the minds? Oh. Oh. Craigasm. Standardized, flexible. Okay. Okay, cool. Cute pictures. Wait, what? Summit 20... What? Golang. Ooh. No, Stan's Pet is a huge fan of Golang. Document good practice, iterate on style guide, write line tears, fight boilerplate. You're gonna stream most of the development process. Yeah, I'm gonna try. It's like this, okay? Normally I would do this on my own free time or whatever, but with the advent of Twitch, I can do this in my own free time with the added dopamine of that I could potentially be paid for my work with a sub. Ooh. Win-win, right? And I can provide entertainment at the same time. Ooh, ooh, ooh. It's kind of a tangent, but here, node module for accessing their GQL endpoints. It's an open source Twitch API GraphQL wrapper. If you clone this repo, you can run it as a full functioning server. Cool. Also installable as an NPM package. Very cool. Well, this seems really fun. I'll put this in my, not my fun folder. Definitely not the fun folder. My projects folder, because we all know projects are the opposite of fun. Okay, cool. Okay, keep this open for now. Okay, what is the benefit of a GraphQL schema and a strong type system? This one. Okay, cool. Once the schema is defined, front-end and back-end teams can work independently of each other. Yes, 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 quite indubitably. Ooh,
Welcome to the
another
third
long one.
chapter of How to GraphQL. In this chapter, you're going to learn about some fundamental language constructs of GraphQL, such as the GraphQL schema, queries, mutations, and subscriptions. In the second part of this video, I will demonstrate how you can experiment with your own GraphQL sandbox environment to apply what you learned in practice. GraphQL has its own type system that's used to define the schema of an API. The syntax for writing schemas is called the schema definition language, for short, SDL. Here's an example how we can use the SDL to define two simple types. One is called person, and the other type is called post. The person type has two fields. They're called name and age, and out of the types, string and int. The exclamation point following the type means that this field is required. Post only has one field that's called title and is of type string. It's also possible to...
Wait, I just didn't read what was here. Okay, defining simple types. Okay.
The exclamation point following the type means that this field is required. Post only has one field that's called title and is of type string. It's also possible to express relationships between types. In GraphQL, that's simply called a relation. Let's add a relation between the person and the post types to express that one person can be the author of many posts. We first add the author field to the post type. Now, every post that is created needs to be associated with a person who is the author of it. Next, we add the posts field to the person type to express that a person can write multiple posts. The syntax to specify that something is a list in the SDL is similar to many programming languages. It uses square brackets. Notice that we just defined a one-to-many relationship between the person and the post types. Let's now discuss how you can fetch data from an API by writing GraphQL queries. When working with REST APIs, data is loaded from specific endpoints. Each endpoint has a clearly defined structure of the information that it returns. This means that with REST, the data requirements of a client are effectively encoded in the URL that it connects to. The approach that's taken in GraphQL is radically different. Instead of having multiple endpoints that return fixed data structures, GraphQL APIs typically only expose a single endpoint. This works because the structure of the data that's returned is not fixed. Instead, it's completely flexible and lets the client decide what data is actually needed. That also means that the client needs to send more information to the server to express its data needs. This information is called a query. Let's now take a look at an example query that a client could send over to a server. The all persons field that you can see in this query is called the root field of the query. Everything that follows the root field is called the payload of the query. This particular query would return a list of all the persons that are currently stored in the database. Here's an example response. Notice that each person only has the name in the response, but the age is not returned by the server. That's because the name was the only field that was specified in the query's payload. If the client also needed the person's age, all it has to do is slightly adjust the query and include the new field in the query's payload. Now, the server will also include the age of each person in its response.
I have no idea what he was just talking about.
This
What?
information is called a query. Let's now take a look at an example query that a client could send over to a server. That's taken in GraphQL APIs. Data is loaded from specific endpoints. Each endpoint has a clearly defined structure of the information that it returns. This means that with REST, the data requirements of a client are effectively encoded in the URL that it connects to. The approach that's taken in GraphQL is radically different. Instead of having multiple endpoints that return fixed data structures, GraphQL APIs typically only expose a single endpoint.
Okay, I
Because
see.
the structure of the data that's returned is not fixed. Instead, it's completely flexible and lets the client use a single endpoint. This works because instead of having multiple endpoints that return fixed data structures, GraphQL APIs typically only expose a single endpoint. This works because the structure of the data that's returned is not fixed. Instead, it's completely flexible and lets the client decide what data is actually needed. That also means that the client needs to send more information to the server to express its data needs. This information is called a query. Let's now take a look at an example query that a client could send over to a server. The all persons field that you can see in this query is called the root field of the query. Everything that follows the root field is called the payload of the query. This particular query would return a list of all the persons that are currently stored in the database. Here's an example response. Notice that each person only has the name in the response, but the age is not returned by the server. That's because the name was the only field that was specified in the query's payload. If the client also needed the person's age, all it has to do is slightly adjust the query and include the new field in the query's payload. Now, the server will also include the age of each person in its response. In a GraphQL query, each field can have 0 or more arguments if that is specified in the GraphQL schema. For example, the all persons field could have a last parameter to only return up to a specific number of persons. Here's what a corresponding query would look like. Now the server only returns the last 2 persons that have been stored in the database. One of the major strengths of GraphQL is that it allows for naturally querying nested information. For example, if you wanted to load all the posts that each person has written as additional information, you could simply follow the structure of your types to request this information. So this is what the corresponding query would look like. The server will now resolve this query and include the list of posts that are associated with each person that is being returned. So now we also see that each person has a list of posts in the server response. Next to requesting information from a server, the majority of applications also needs
I love when their examples are just shilling themselves. Oh, lovely. Time to eat. Okay. What time should we eat? Is that what you're asking? You want to eat now? By the way, do you know where my phone is? Okay. Do you know where your phone is? Oh, thank you. I have 4 Facebook notifications, but I can't see them yet. Somebody commented on my post. You're never gonna complete it, Brian. Just give up now. Give up. Wait, why is my Facebook chat not updating? I'm upset. Maybe we need to edit video. Live chat. Test. Okay, that looks like it's working. Okay, someone write in my Facebook chat. Or the Facebook comments. I don't know why that's happening. Whatever. Let's react with a haha. Oh, that's because I'm looking at a different video. That's why I don't see it. XDDDDDD. Haha. Cool. All right. What do you want to eat?
Up to you.
Do you want to eat rice?
Sure.
Sure. That's not very convincing. What do you want to eat? Do you want to eat bread? Do you want a sandwich? Do we have cauliflower still? Oh, we ate the cauliflower. Oh, we have duck and vegetables and wrapper, right? You want to eat that?
Sure, why not?
Let's watch a cooking video. Scrambled eggs Ramsay.
Breakfast. Never get a chance to eat it Monday to Friday, but Saturday, Sunday, however, is the time when everyone should have a proper breakfast.
It is
My
Saturday.
perfect breakfast, scrambled egg, sautéed mushrooms, and tomatoes. The most important thing about any scrambled egg is stopping it from overcooking. To serve a scrambled egg, flat cap mushrooms. Just keep them whole and put them in the pan. Lots of olive oil, a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper, vine tomatoes.
This is now a
Best way
cooking
of
stream.
roasting these is actually keep them on the vine.
Alright.
Way of making changes to the data that's currently stored in the backend. With GraphQL, these changes are made using so-called mutations. There generally are three kinds of mutations. Mutations for creating new data, updating existing data, and deleting existing data. Mutations generally follow the
Huh?
technical
You're right, we have duck.
Yeah, you want to eat duck? Great.
structure as queries, but they always need to start with the mutation keyword. Now let's take a look at an example mutation. Notice that similar to the query that we wrote before, the mutation also has a root field. In this case, the root field is called createPerson. We also already learned about the concept of arguments for fields. In this case, the createPerson field takes two arguments that specify the new person's name and age. Like with a query, we're also able to specify a payload for a mutation in which we can ask for different properties of the new person object. In our case, we're asking for the name and the age, though that admittedly is not super helpful in our example, since we obviously already know these as we pass them into the mutation. However, being able to also query information when sending mutations can be a very powerful tool that allows to retrieve new information from the server in just a single round trip. The server response for the above mutation will look as follows. Notice that exactly as with queries, the server response is shaped according to the mutation that is sent. One pattern that you'll often find is that GraphQL types have unique IDs that are generated by the server. Extending our person type from before, we could add an ID like this. Now, when a person is created, you could directly ask for the ID in the payload of the mutation, since that is information that wasn't available on the client beforehand. Another important requirement for many applications today is to have a real-time connection to the server in order to get immediately informed about important events. For this use case, GraphQL offers the concept of subscriptions. When a client subscribes to an event, it will initiate and hold a steady connection to the server. In this example, the client subscribes on the server to get informed about new users being created. Whenever that particular event then actually happens, the server pushes the corresponding data to the client. In this example, this is the name and the age of the new user, since that's the information that's specified in the subscription payload. Unlike queries and mutations that follow a typical request-response cycle, subscriptions represent a stream of data sent over to the client. Let's assume there are 3 persons that are created by other clients while the subscription is active. The server would then, for each of these persons, push the corresponding data to the subscribed client. Now that you have a basic understanding of what queries, mutations, and subscriptions look like, let's put it all together and learn how you can write a schema that would allow to execute the examples you've seen so far. The schema is one of the most important concepts when working with a GraphQL API. It specifies the capabilities of the API and defines how clients can fetch and update data. It is often seen as a contract between the server and the client, and in general, a schema is simply a collection of GraphQL types. However, each schema will have some root types that define the entry points for the API. These root types are the query, the mutation, and the subscription types. Let's now see how we would have to define these types in the schema to enable all the examples that we saw before. First, to enable the all-persons query that we used in the beginning, we need to add a corresponding field to the query type. Notice that we are also adding the last parameter that we were using at some point to limit the number of users that we wanted to retrieve. The type of the all-persons field is a list of persons, since this is what the query will return. Similarly, for the mutation to create a new person, we have to add the createPerson field to the mutation type, since that was the root field that we used when we were sending the mutation. It takes the name and age arguments that we already used before. Notice that the return type of the createPerson mutation, the createPerson field, is a single person object. Logically, this is the one that was created by the mutation. Finally, the subscription type is pretty straightforward. The root field that we used to subscribe to the event of new persons being created was called new person. Consequently, this field needs to be added to the subscription type in our schema. The type of the new person field is person. Let's put it all together. Here we see the full schema that defines all the capabilities of our API. It's based on the model of the person and the post types, and then we also define the 3 root types that we just discussed. It is important to realize that despite having defined the post type in the schema, the API actually does not allow any operations on it at the moment. All we can do with the API right now is to read the list of all persons, create new persons, and subscribe to the event of new persons being created. So the post type at the moment is kind of useless. A more realistic and complete version of the schema would define additional operations for both model types. We could, for example, define a CRUD style API by adding a couple of new fields to the schema's root types. CRUD is short for create, read, update, delete, and refers to the 4 kinds of operations we want to be able to perform on a type. The first thing we would have to do is add another field to the query type to retrieve all the stored posts from the server. This field is called allPosts and looks very similar to the allPersons field that we already have in the schema. Notice that with this setup, all we can do is ask for all the posts and all the persons that are currently stored in the backend, but it's not possible to query individual posts or person objects. Next, we can go and complete the CRUD API for the person type. We can do so by adding 2 more mutations, one for updating and one for deleting person objects. The update person mutation takes an ID that allows to specify which person should be updated, as well as the person's properties as arguments. The delete person mutation, on the other hand, only takes an ID to tell the server which person it should delete. This completes the CRUD operations for the person type. Let's do the same for the post type. All we do is adding the create, update, and delete mutations for the post type, analogous to how we specified them for the person type. Notice that we also need to add an ID to the post type for the create and delete mutations to work. Finally, to complete the setup, we're also adding the ability for clients to subscribe to all these events on the person and on the post types that we just created. This is a more realistic setup of an API that defines useful capabilities. Notice, however, that the way how we define the schema still has a couple of flaws. For example, at the moment, it's not really possible to set and modify the relation between person and post. We will leave this as an exercise to you to think about what the corresponding mutations will look like. In general, however, this whole schema already does illustrate the general ideas you need to follow when writing a GraphQL schema. Before we close this chapter, I want to quickly demonstrate to you how you can try out these queries and mutations directly on the How to GraphQL website. When you're going through the written GraphQL Basics chapter, you'll find that a couple of code snippets have this Run and Sandbox button right here. When you click this button, you'll generate your own GraphQL sandbox that you can use to try out the API that we just explained in the slides. Once the sandbox was generated, you can go and send the query that's written on the left side by clicking this play button in the middle. This returns the data that was prepared for you in your GraphQL sandbox. If you want to see what kind of data is currently stored in your sandbox, you can simply click the data tab and you'll get an overview of the persons and the posts that are currently in your database. Of course, you can also send mutations to add, update, or delete data. In the playground, you just have to add a mutation, for example, the one that is on the slide before, and click the play button again. And on the right side again, you'll see the server response, and when you click on the data tab now, you'll see the new person added to your sandbox environment. This is it for the third chapter of How to GraphQL. In the next chapter, we'll discuss the big picture and highlight some major architectural components that you'll find in all GraphQL infrastructures.
Alright. Well, I'm gonna take a bathroom break. Talk about these core concepts after. This water bottle is so hard to open. Oh, my shirt is all wet. Alright. I'm thinking about doing this. But let's get some news. Let's see what Reddit has in store for us today. While I do that, talk about some SQL or GraphQL core concepts. Queries and mutations. Person, 2 fields, okay. Fetching data, okay. queries. That's how I fetch data. Queries with arguments. Ooh, can put in some arguments. Writing data with mutations. Ooh. Creating, updating, deleting. Okay. Interesting. Real-time updates with subscriptions. Okay. Subscriptions. So what's subscription? Client subscribes to an event. It will initiate and hold a steady connection to the server. Wherever that particular event then actually happens, the server pushes the corresponding data to the client. Unlike queries and mutations that follow a typical request-response cycle, subscriptions represent a stream of data sent over to the client. Subscriptions are written using the same syntax as queries and mutations. Okay, let's check out the syntax for queries. Okay. Root field. Okay. Okay. What are GraphQL subscriptions used for? What? Yeah. Real-time updates. That's right. Okay, cool. Big picture architecture.
Welcome to the fourth chapter of How to GraphQL. In this chapter, we'll discuss some architectural use cases for GraphQL, as well as some major components that you'll find in all GraphQL infrastructures. One thing to note in the beginning is that GraphQL itself has only been released as a specification. This means that GraphQL is in fact not more than a long document that describes in detail how a GraphQL server has to behave, meaning what kinds of requests it should accept and what the response format for these requests has to look like. You can read the specification under the URL that's displayed on the bottom of this slide. If you want to use GraphQL in a project, you'll have to go and build the GraphQL server yourself. You can do that in any programming language of your choice, and you can use one of the available reference implementations for it. But you can also use a service like GraphQL that provides a powerful GraphQL server out of the box. We will now walk you through three common architectural use cases for GraphQL. The first one is a GraphQL server with a connected database. This is quite a simple setup that we'll discuss in the next section. Then we have a GraphQL server that is a thin layer in front of a number of third-party or legacy systems and integrates these systems through a single GraphQL API. The third is a hybrid approach of a connected database and third-party or legacy systems that can all be accessed through the same GraphQL API. All these three architectures represent major use cases of GraphQL and demonstrate the flexibility in terms of the context where GraphQL can be used. Let's first talk about the use case of a GraphQL server with a connected database. This architecture will be the most common for greenfield projects. In the setup, you have a single web server that implements the GraphQL specification. When a query arrives at the GraphQL server reads the query's payload and fetches the required information from the database. This is called resolving the query. It then constructs the response object as described in the official specification and returns it to the client. Here you see an illustration of this use case where a client is communicating with a single GraphQL server over the web. It's important to note that GraphQL is actually transport layer agnostic. This means it can potentially be used with any available network protocol. So it is definitely possible to implement a GraphQL server based on TCP, WebSockets, or any other transport. GraphQL also doesn't care about the database or the format that is used to store the data. You could use a SQL database like AWS Aurora or a NoSQL database like MongoDB. Another major use case for GraphQL is the integration of multiple existing systems behind a single coherent GraphQL API. This is particularly compelling for companies with legacy infrastructures and many different APIs that have grown over the years and now impose a high maintenance burden. One major problem with these kinds of legacy systems is that they make it practically impossible to build innovative products that need access to multiple systems. In that context, GraphQL can be used to unify these existing systems and hide their complexity behind a nice GraphQL API. This way, new client applications can be developed that simply talk to the GraphQL server to fetch the data they need. The server is then responsible to make sure it fetches the data from the existing systems and packages it up in the GraphQL response format. Just like in the previous architecture where the GraphQL server didn't care about the database being used, this time it doesn't care about the data sources that it needs to fetch the data that's needed to resolve a query. Here we see the illustration of such a system where the GraphQL server acts as the integration layer for legacy systems, existing microservices, and third-party APIs. And finally, it's also possible to combine the two approaches and build a GraphQL server that has a connected database but still talks to legacy or third-party systems. In this architecture, when a query is received by the server will resolve it and either retrieve the required data from the connected database or from the integrated APIs. But how do we actually gain this flexibility with GraphQL? How is it that it's such a great fit for these very different kinds of use cases? The key to understanding how GraphQL is able to cope with all these different environments is the concept of a resolver function. As you learned in the previous chapter, the payload of a GraphQL query or mutation consists of a set of fields. In the GraphQL server implementation, each of these fields actually corresponds to exactly one function that's called a resolver. The sole purpose of a resolver function is to fetch the data for its corresponding field. Let's now consider the example of a query that is sent to a GraphQL server and think about the resolver functions that are required to properly respond to that query. Here, we send a query to ask for the user that's identified by a particular ID. In the payload of the query, we specify the information that we'd like to have returned by the server. In our case, that's the user's name, as well as their first 5 friends, of which we are requesting the name as well as the age. The first resolver that would have to be implemented is for the root field of the query. In that case, that is the user field. The resolver function for the user field takes a required ID as an argument and potentially returns a user instance. The return type is nullable since we don't know that the user with the provided ID actually exists. Notice that the function signatures are just pseudocode. To illustrate the idea behind resolver functions, the actual function signatures of your resolvers that you write for your GraphQL server implementation might differ depending on your context. We then can add a resolver function for the name field. Name is a field on the user type and doesn't take any external arguments that can be provided in a query. However, in order to be able to find the name of a user, the server needs to know which user that is. The resolver function thus takes a user as an implicit argument. The return type of this resolver is a non-nullable string, which corresponds to the type of the name field in the GraphQL schema. Next, we can add the resolver function for the age field. That's analogous to the name field, except that it returns an int instead of a string. And finally, the friends field in the query payload can be resolved by a corresponding function that takes an optional parameter called first that can be provided in a query, as well as the implicit user argument, since friends also is a field on the user type, and the server needs to know whose friends it should fetch. This function returns a list of users. The last concept that we cover in this chapter is the concept of a GraphQL client. GraphQL is a particularly great technology for front-end developers, since it completely eliminates many of the inconveniences and shortcomings that are experienced with REST APIs, such as over and under fetching. Complexity is pushed to the server side, where powerful machines can take care of the heavy computation work. The client doesn't have to know where the data that it fetches is actually coming from, and can use a single coherent and flexible API. This provides an opportunity to build new abstractions on the front end to make it even easier for developers to interact with an API. Let's consider the major change that's introduced with GraphQL in going from a rather imperative data fetching approach to a purely declarative one. When fetching data from a REST API, most applications will have to go through the following steps. First, they have to construct and send the HTTP request, for example using the fetch function in JavaScript. Then they have to receive and parse the server response. The data that they parse out of the response has to be stored locally, either simply in memory or maybe persisted. And finally, the data can be displayed in the UI. With the ideal declarative data fetching approach, on the other hand, a client should be doing more than the following two steps. First, it has to describe its data requirements, and then it can display the information in the UI. Everything that's in between should be handled by the GraphQL client. All the lower-level networking tasks, as well as storing the data, should be abstracted away, and the declaration of data dependencies should be the dominant part in the data fetching process. This is precisely what GraphQL client libraries like Relay or Apollo will enable you to do. They provide the abstraction that you need to be able to focus on the important parts of your application, rather than having to deal with the repetitive implementation of infrastructure and data fetching logic. This was it for the fourth chapter of How to GraphQL. You're now done with learning about the fundamentals of GraphQL and can choose whether you want to continue learning about more advanced GraphQL concepts or get your hands dirty and start coding with a hands-on tutorial with the programming language and framework of your choice.
Exciting. Connected database. Integrates existing systems. Hybrid approach. Resolver functions. Client libraries. What is a resolver function? A function that solves all your problems. True. What is that function on GraphQL server that's responsible for fetching the data for a single field? Interesting. Okay. Do I want to go to the bonus chapter? Nah, maybe. Nah. Wait, Python. Yes. Okay, cool. Cool. Python. It's a general purpose and mature language used to create solutions from web. One of my nice videos. Okay, I guess I'm making the video now. Python is a general purpose and mature language used to create solutions from web APIs to artificial intelligence. It has a global community empowering the minorities. True. Feel everyone feel welcomed. If you're new to the language, okay. Learn Python the hard way. True. Let's favorite libraries at Django. Okay. Locations with less code. There's these Djangos. Okay. Okay. I think this is what I'm looking for. Okay. Build your own GraphQL server by developing a Hacker News clone using the technologies mentioned above. What is a GraphQL server? GraphQL server should be able to. Getting kind of cold. GraphQL server should be able to in the GraphQL format, for example, query all links URL, containing necessary databases or services responsible for storing or fetching the actual data. Turn GraphQL responds with requested data such as this. Validate incoming requests against the schema definition in the supported format. For example, if a query is made with an unknown field, the response should be something like this. The basic features, but of course, they can do much more as needed. My development process will revolve around the schema definition. See in this chapter, the main steps will follow will be something like this. Find your types and the appropriate queries and mutations for them. Implement functions called resolvers to just handle these types in their fields. As new requirements arrive, go back to step 1 to update the schema and continue through the other steps. Schema is a contract agreed on between the front end and the back end. So keeping it at the center allows both sides of the development to evolve without going off the spec. This also makes it easier to parallelize the work, since the front end can move on with full knowledge of the API from the start, using a simple mocking service which can later be easily replaced with the final server. Cool. Let's roll Django. Create web applications. Cool. What are you going to build? Hacker News Clone. Django and Graphene. Okay. Why should I use a virtual environment? Okay. So I do want to keep it isolated. Okay, I do have that. Okay, maybe I'll make a new let's call it Hacker News Clone. Hacker News Clone. Git init. Man, I thought I was gonna do some stuff. Not today, I guess. Well, we'll get there. Hacker News Clone. That's what I want. Okay. What am I doing? Okay. Guess I'm learning a lot. That's good. Git init. No, I don't want that. You change your t-shirt. I just put on a long sleeve. What's my typing speed? It's not as fast as you'd think. Let's check right now. Enter typing race. Also, coding is definitely different from typing regular words. Okay, begin test. Uh-oh. Okay, well, it wasn't very accurate. So there you have it. Clip it. It's like 150 on a good day, I guess. That's with easy. Probably more realistic if it's more like 100, 110 or something. Maybe 70 for other things. That's so fast. Yeah, I mean, I've practiced a lot. You know, I type like every day. I guess like if you're trying to improve your speed, you'll think about different things than if you're trying to just like type a message. And it's more important to focus on the message you're typing. So typing speed is literally meaningless. It's just to flex your e-peen. Okay. Okay, we're gonna implement a Hacker News clone. Going to change this to main. Okay. Let's add a readme. me.d Hacker News clone. Following this tutorial to learn GraphQL. Okay, add readme it first. It fish. Whoops, didn't set a thing. Origin. Whoops. You clipped it. You're a legend. Let's watch a clip. Let's see what actually happened. Oh, you even edited it to be nice and neat. I'm happy I was using my Razer Black Widow Ultimate to really flex the e-peen. Let's hear how it sounds. It's so weird to hear myself talk and then actually talk. Alright, time to post on Twitter. Thanks for clipping it. Thanks to Adrenalion. There you go. For the nice editing. Gotta flex my e-peen. Okay, what am I doing? Okay, origin main. I should have put like hashtag e-peen, hashtag flex, hashtag click, yeah. I spend a majority of my day typing on my keyboard, so I might as well make it aesthetically pleasing for me to listen to. Very Adrenalion, not Adrenalion, Adrenalion. Oh, okay, time to delete the tweet. Okay, perfect. I can delete the tweet. Delete it. Delete. Okay. Sorry, I spelled your name. Okay. Home. Flexing the e-peen on stream. There we go. Thanks to Andre Lion. There we go. For the edit. For the clip. There we go. Flexing the e-peen on stream, yes. I didn't put any funny hashtags. I should have put like hashtag save me or something like that. What is even trending? Oh, they even put a smash for me. Wow. Alright. I got you, fam. You're in the new tweet. Okay. Um. Prompt change to venv. Okay. Activate it. Okay. Pi 3 m venv. Got a Twitter. Ah, nice. You liked my clip. Feels great. Insta liked. There we go. And I spelled your name right. Bonus. Bonus meme. Pi 3 m venv. Okay. I hope this works. Can't tell if this worked. Source venv bin activate. Source is not. Oh, this is assuming I'm on. Oh. What's up? Dark is my soul, Muck Black. Just say both since I know you. Okay, whatever. Wait. Run source terminal windows. Afraid not, but you can start using PowerShell, which does support dot sourcing. Call. Okay. Call. Venv bin activate. Venv is not recognized. Wait, what? Oh, it's what I get for using Windows to develop things. Virtual environment. Python 3, Windows. Creation of virtual environments. Maybe I should just do this. Pi 3 venv venv bin activate. Can't find main module. Wait, pi 3 venv. Uh-oh. Are you not running this in a VM? I could. You right. Okay. You are correct. VirtualBox. But I thought I had it. I swear I have a VirtualBox. I don't on this computer. Alright. Here we go. VirtualBox. I'm running a VM on my VM. Alright, let's do this. But I thought I had a VirtualBox. I swear I had one. No, you're good, dude. But I should. I really should. Whatever. All my projects use the same environment, so whatever. It's not a big deal. Let's go to Hacker News clone. I mean, we're on a tangent of a tangent of a tangent, which is all connected. It's all connected. Okay. But I don't want to do this. Okay, I do need a virtual environment. Which means I do need to get this virtual machine. Did I download it? No. Windows hosts. You're good, my dude. I should be doing this from the beginning. Okay. Uh-oh. Okay, let's not do this. You know what? I do have. Why virtual the box when you can get a real box? I'll be back in case you end up ending while I'm gone. Thanks, man. SSH into a Linux box? Yes. A real Linux box. Here. I will flex. I just installed this recently. Look at this. Oh. Ooh. With Elementary OS. Ooh. Ooh. So nice. Alright, let's see if I can SSH into this machine. Talk to me, talk to me. What's going on in the world? Since I'm, literally not leaving the apartment. Okay. Actually, we can find out right now. Let's have a news update. U.S. hospitalizations top 90,000 for the first time. Sag McBadge. On Thanksgiving Day, hospitalizations hit a record high of more than 90,000 people, according to the COVID Tracking Project. About 50 Americans are now dying every hour. True case count could be much higher, considering an expected dip in positivity rates linked to a surge in pre-holiday testing. A lot of people flooded into testing room programs to get tested before they traveled for Thanksgiving, said Dr. Emily Landon of the University of Chicago Medical Center, adding, but they do bring the positivity rates down by flooding the testing market with a number of low-risk individuals. U/ZS report comments, more Americans than ever. Okay, so this guy's quoting. He's quoting, more Americans than ever are in the hospital with the coronavirus. On Thanksgiving Day, hospitalizations hit a record high of more than 90,000 people, according to the COVID Tracking Project. About 50 Americans are now dying every hour. And the scary thing is that this might prove to be the calm before the storm. Ooh. Very, very scary. Manka S. Negative reviews of scented candles surge after increasing COVID infections. Huh. I'm interested. Researcher looked for a link between coronavirus and scented candles becoming unpopular. Okay. ZS Croft comments, I work at Starbucks and the amount of people telling me their drinks don't taste like anything has me seriously concerned. We've had to remake a lot of shiza recently because people are saying it's not sweet enough. So if you didn't know, our Just Dance Nintendo Switch Edition just got delivered. So that's great. Yeah, agenda. So, yeah, coronavirus messes up your smell. So watch out, people. First doses of Pfizer coronavirus vaccine has flown to U.S. from Belgium. The first doses of Pfizer's coronavirus vaccine candidate have been flown over to the U.S. from Belgium. A source familiar with United Airlines' COVID vaccine readiness task team planning confirmed to NBC on Saturday. First doses of Pfizer coronavirus vaccine has flown to U.S. from Belgium. Report on Friday. The Wall Street Journal reported that United commenced chartering flights to send doses of the vaccine to the United States. U/Juicy Jackson comments, I am hoping to God that all the logistics work out perfectly and we can stay on track for 20 million people vaccinated in the U.S. by the end of 2020. That would be nice. Should you quarantine after Thanksgiving gathering amid rising COVID cases? Yes, expert says. Anyone who traveled to another part of the country and got together with other people could be at risk for contracting COVID-19. How many guests were there and what were their risks? If you visited elderly parents who have been quarantining themselves, it's very low risk to you. If you got together with others who have risk themselves, know that you are now at risk too. U/WearBear67 comments, I'll assume those who didn't follow advice on keeping Thanksgiving limited to one household won't follow this advice either. Those who did keep things limited probably already are in a form of quarantine or very limited social contact. they had coronavirus. Now they're showing up at memory clinics with serious cognitive loss. Ooh, it's actually scary. I read it like in a meme voice, but it's kind of scary. Journal Neurology Today is reporting hundreds of COVID-19 long haulers being treated for cognitive problems at specialty clinics set up in areas hardest hit by the virus. Rondeau, who founded the Montclair Memory Clinic in 2001, had seen instances in the past where a virus similar to COVID-19 led to perplexing cognitive loss in a person who had no previous memory issues. That's what leaves Rondeau and other experts concerned about the cognitive issues now being seen in people who have survived coronavirus. Is this doom scrolling? No, there's an end, you know, it ends. U/Lollylan comments, a fellow doctor that I treated as a patient of mine lost most of his memory and will probably never work as a doctor ever again. He is in neurological therapy, but there is only so much you can do against hundreds of mini strokes. Ooh, jeez. That is spooky. Alito slaps down megachurch pastor's lawsuit that claimed obeying God meant ignoring COVID-19 orders. Supreme Court Justice Samuel Alito flatly rejected a plea. You know what? We could make this happen. Like, look, I'm just reading what my script produced with the, you know, that NLP summary API. You know, we could do like a noon update every day at noon Pacific. That would be content, right? I could stretch this out to 10 minutes per video, you know? I could get, you know? It's actually a decent summary of the interesting comments. Cool, okay. That's what I needed to hear. All right. If you find it interesting, I'm sure you wouldn't be the only one. So, rejected a plea by a Louisiana megachurch pastor to keep his church fully open against orders from the government to limit the size of worship gatherings due to the COVID-19 pandemic. The application, styled as Spell v. Edwards, complained that the orders by Governor John Bell Edwards forbade the Life Tabernacle. I don't know why I said it like that. Church from being fully assembled. In a more legally astonishing question, the case also sought to ask whether the First Amendment gives the church exclusive jurisdiction over whether to assemble or not. In other words, the church sought to have the Supreme Court declare its assembly function as beyond state action or reproach. Not only has Louisiana Governor John Bell Edwards refused to respect the First Amendment rights of Pastor Spell and his church, but he has just refused an order of his own legislature to end the state of emergency that purportedly gives him the power to issue emergency orders. U/Huffy2 comments, it's all about the Benjamins, people. It has nothing to do with faith or God. Pass that collection plate. Wow. All right. There you have it. Those are the coronavirus highlights. Since I'm in California, coronavirus California highlights. Apple Bistro is still at it. Family took me here. I waited in the car. U/jealous currency comments, couldn't pay me to step foot in that place. Gross. I've never been to Apple Bistro, so I wouldn't know. Gotta get that mediocre deal. U/depressed engraving comments. I don't know about any of you guys, but there were really no exciting deals this year to warrant leaving your house. I swear, if a zombie outbreak happens, they're flocking to a mall. San Francisco issues new stay-at-home order starting Monday. U/customerny comments, who and how will be enforced? As a resident of Los Angeles, I'm sure this one will not be enforced and will be on paper only. It seems like some of these are supposed to be photos. You can embed photos in a markdown file. Ooh. That's genius. Dude, I'm so glad you're here. What? You know what? Modded. Also, I'm modding Andrena Lion. Modded, but not subbed. XD. I'm just kidding. You can do whatever you want with your money. Just mod everyone for it. True. Wait, I know you. You should be modded, Mr. Dubs. Actually should be modded. I can't believe you're not modded. I hear Facebook. I won. Yay. Wow. Good job. Wow. Nice job. Junk. Actual mod. That was the thought when I got modded. Well, I mean, the original viewers of my stream ought to be modded, I have to say. Dude, I just realized I can farm free content real good. Like my script, you know? Okay. Well, this isn't an image. I don't really want to put an image. I could just click on it. Unnecessary, unpaid development time. Kokona. How's med school, my dude? Are you doing med school now? I haven't seen you in forever. Even less in my chat. Oh. All these, sorry, I couldn't get a summary. I think I might have ran out of API requests. Summary API. Second year going well. Nice. How's life in the Bay? Chillin', dude. Speaking of chillin', dude, I played him on stream. Guys, hella washed. I'm just kidding. He's gonna make a Bluetooth diss track now. I would love nothing less. But if he's ginormous brained, he wouldn't even spare me the attention. If you're still there, I am still there. Thanks for asking. It's pretty swell. Glad to hear you're doing well. Partner. Well, I do have credit balance, so I don't know. I think the summary API has trouble accessing certain websites, and a lot of the like less popular or like the local papers, like California local papers, probably doesn't really work that way. But at least I get the juicy comments. More than 24 COVID-19 cases were traced to youth basketball at a California gym. Good old Placer County, u/Catterson 46 comments. All right, well, there's the coronavirus California highlights. Let's move on to news highlights. Maybe one day I'll download Sleepy or whatever and we can play again. I haven't played in years. And you shouldn't. That is a time sink. You should focus on passing your exams. US is rounding the corner into a calamity, expert says, with COVID-19 deaths projected to double soon. Okay. Well, see, the summary API could get this one. So let's just read the first 3 sentences. As Thanksgiving week draws to an end, more experts are warning the COVID-19 pandemic will likely get much worse in the coming weeks before a possible vaccine begins to offer some relief. More than 205,000 new cases were reported Friday, which likely consists of both Thursday and Friday reports in some cases, as at least 20 states did not report COVID-19 numbers on Thanksgiving. As of Saturday evening, more than 138,000 new cases and 1,100 deaths had been reported, according to Johns Hopkins University. US has now reported more than 100,000 infections every day for 26 consecutive days. Jeez. Yeesh. Yeesh. Are you saving the world with your newfound knowledge, Mr. Dubs? 13 million cases. Not that this isn't worthy news, but I'll read it. Native Americans renew decades-long push to reclaim millions of acres in the Black Hills. U/Delorf comments, after reading the article, it sounds like the tribe wants to be able to determine how resources are used on their land. I don't know what else they want because the article didn't go into deep detail. Apparently, the tribe doesn't always benefit when a company or the government uses their land. Also, they want to eventually not need government money. We saw this. Archbishop is about to become the first African-American cardinal in Catholic history. Wow. U/Zalmoxis remembers. This is a title that will make uneducated people think something different. He's the first African-American cardinal. Okay, this is the first time an African was made cardinal in American Catholic institutions. There have already been multiple. Okay, so basically it's technical. Oregon mink farm. COVID-19 outbreak. That's pretty close to me, so I'm a little bit scared. Kavan, the world's loneliest elephant, is finally going free. On Sunday, the world's loneliest elephant will finally leave behind his desolate enclosure for a new life on the other side of the continent. Thanks to the determination of a coalition of determined volunteers and, somewhat unexpectedly, the American pop icon Cher. I probably pronounced that incorrectly. Little elephant was Kavan, who had, until that day, been kept at Sri Lanka's Cher. You know, Californians pronounce wool. I'm gonna, do this. Like share. Oh, share. American pop icon Cher. Okay. Today I learned. Nice. Exact reasons remain murky, as does the question of whether Cavan was really an orphan. Cavan. We know that at some point in 1985, the young elephant ended up at a zoo in Islamabad. Murghazar Zoo had been built just 7 years earlier, but already a power vacuum had emerged at the top, into which a number of business mafias had stepped. U/JRNITC, Jurnitic. Soon Cavan could be seen eating out of Dr. Khalil's hands, hugging him with his trunk as he took a bath at the pond, while his new friend sang along one of his favorite songs from the traditional pop era being played on a portable sound system. Somehow, this brightened my day. If the story is accurate, this elephant must have been utterly distraught. Just the fact that he lost his aggression and apathy by being well cared for makes me happy. Wow. Black firefighters in North Carolina allege racism amid larger reckoning. Advertisement. Okay. It's a festering problem that has become even more disease-ridden and more detrimental to the life of the individuals who work here because of the current chief, said 28-year veteran fighter Thomas Penn, a leader of the group that calls itself Omnibus. Last year, a black firefighter sued city officials in Lansing, Michigan, saying they did nothing to stop racial discrimination within the fire department after he received hostile comments, found a banana on his assigned fire truck's windshield. A white Delaware firefighter was charged in July with hate crimes and harassment after allegedly sending threatening messages to a black paramedic and two part-time workers, one who is black and the other white, who has black family members, the News Journal reported. U/JVDB my homie comments. Absolutely zero excuses for that kind of behavior. I hope that the victims get restitution that they deserve. Wow. Indeed. Politics. Highlights. Ooh, this is the juicy part. Saturday morning political cartoon thread. Okay, I should add that to an edge case. So Doge. Yes. Doge indeed. U.S. House to vote on ending federal ban on marijuana. A postponed vote on landmark legislation ending the federal ban on cannabis will take place within a week. House Majority Leader Steny Hoyer announced Friday. By advancing the MORE Act, the House of Representatives sends an unmistakable signal that America is ready to close the book marijuana prohibition and end the senseless oppression and fear that this failed policy wreaks on otherwise law-abiding citizens. How come Mitch can solely stop a bill? WTF. Has something to do with Senate and how Senate, you need some kind of supermajority to, pass things. I don't know all the details. Said Justin Streckel, because of how majority rules work and how Republicans always vote along party lines. Oh, is this getting voted before the new elected people get in? Yeah, but did the numbers change that much? Could Mitch stop it if, Americans are ready to responsibly legalize and regulate marijuana. This vote shows some lawmakers are finally listening. Vote on the bill had been scheduled to take place before the election, but House Democratic leaders delayed it to avoid the optics of appearing to put a vote on cannabis instead of passing a new coronavirus stimulus package. I think so, yeah, it's like 50-50 now, right? Close to it. Says in the article, 400 plus pieces of legislation that McConnell refuses to pass. Wow. U/Midnight son, Midnight, comments, and if it passes the House, it will immediately find its way to Mitch McConnell's desk, where it will sit and wither and die like the 400 plus other pieces of legislation that McConnell refuses to advance. Ah, that's what you were talking about. Now, put a Federalist Society judge nomination on his desk. That'll get passed quicker than shit through a goose. Trump supporters in Georgia ask RNC chair why they should vote in runoffs when system is, quote, rigged. Frustrated supporters of President Donald Trump in Georgia challenged Republican National Committee Chair Ronna McDaniel. That is like if Ronald McDonald wanted to be a girl. That's what you would name yourself. On why they should even vote in the upcoming Senate runoffs if rigged elections are already decided. McDaniel's Saturday campaign stop in Marietta, Georgia, appeared to backfire as Trump supporters who have adopted the president's conspiratorial accusations about voter fraud asked why their vote even matters. Trump supporters present at the event appeared apathetic about the upcoming vote, saying the expansion of money and work when it is already decided seems pointless. U/Dapple4321 comments, Republicans complain and moan before falling in line and voting in droves, just like every election for at least the past 40 years. If you are a Democrat in Georgia, then don't think for a moment that you can stay home, because I guarantee this is just political theater. Republicans will turn out to vote. Good, they won't vote, so maybe Democrats have a chance. There you have it. AOC's Among Us stream on Twitch nets $200,000 for charity. Wow. U/Mr. Sleep Tight comments, when a representative does more for pandemic relief playing a video game than our government can do in 6 months. True. Governor Cuomo, Dr. Fauci nominated for Times Person of the Year. Governor Cuomo and Dr. Fauci have been nominated for Times Person of the Year. Time magazine released its list of reader poll nominees Wednesday for the 2020 Person of the Year honor. Greta Thunberg. Blue News live stream. Yeah, Sammy, I'm literally thinking of doing like a every day at noon update, or at least weekdays. Just to like all I have to do is read the things that my script produces, and it's free content. And it has like clickbait title like coronavirus updates, you know? This is actual gold mine right here. The results of the poll will be released in early December. Okay, and the Time Person of the Year 2020 will be announced on December 10th. Cool. Of these, Fauci is the obvious choice. Since somebody replied to me with the full list, BLM or maybe AOC would be my choice. Wait, BLM, is that a person? Pennsylvania Supreme Court dismisses Trump allies' attempt to throw out millions of mail-in ballots. State Attorney General Josh Shapiro called the decision another win for democracy, describing it as an attempt to throw out the votes of 2.5 million Pennsylvanians and halt certification. Yeah, but Black Lives Matter, is that a person? Like, can you nominate a movement or like an idea as a Person of the Year? The court said that the petitioner's failure to file their facial constitutional challenge in a timely manner was the basis of the decision. Oh, you think so? Okay. I mean, if that's true, hey, there you go. Justice Wyatt wrote, "It is not our role to lend legitimacy to such transparent and untimely efforts to subvert the will of Pennsylvania voters. Courts should not decide elections when the will of the voters is clear." U/Sharon is a dork comments, quoting a Twitter post, I guess, the court has also wiped out a lower court order that blocked Pennsylvania officials from further certifying the election results. The Kraken is released. Didn't they do that with nurses in some year? But nurses are people. Black Lives Matter is like a political movement, not like a person. I guess political movement is composed of people. Joe Exotic reportedly spent $10,000 in Trump Hotel hoping for presidential pardon. U/legitimate account 123 comments, he seems on brand for a Trump supporter. Twitter has flagged 200 of Trump's posts as disputed or misleading since Election Day. Does it make a difference? In the 24 days since Election Day, Twitter has added warnings labels to 200 of President Trump's tweets or posts he has retweeted, indicating that they contain false, disputed, or misleading info. Overall, since polls closed November 3rd, about 30% of Trump's posts on Twitter have been flagged by Twitter as containing or potentially including misinformation, according to a Variety analysis. To be fair, Trump and his followers would be spreading fake claims about the 2020 election results, even if Twitter didn't exist. U/meowfood comments, can we stop for a minute and reflect on the fact that he has tweeted this many times, regardless of content, in the past 3 weeks? I don't think I've tweeted 200 times in the past 10 years. He has the worst case of Lagoria I've ever seen. What does Lagoria mean?
Logorrhea.
Logorrhea. A tendency to extreme loquacity.
Loquacity.
The quality of talking a great deal. Talkativeness. I see. I should have known that word, actually. All right, done with politics. Science. Science highlights. Sleep deprivation impairs the suppression of unwanted thoughts and memories which enter conscious awareness when individuals confront reminders. Sleep-deprived people experienced significantly more intrusions and unsuccessful suppressions of unwanted thoughts. Participants initially encoded face-scene pairs by studying them one at a time for 6 seconds. To reinforce learning and ensure adequate knowledge of the face-scene pairs, we then had participants complete a test. Okay, so they're talking about how they did it. Let's read the abstract. Unwanted memories often enter conscious awareness when individuals confront reminders. People vary widely in their talents at suppressing such memory intrusions. However, the factors that govern suppression ability are poorly understood. We tested the hypothesis that successful memory control requires sleep. Following overnight sleep or total sleep deprivation, participants attempted to suppress intrusions of emotionally negative and neutral scenes when confronted with reminders. The sleep-deprived group experienced significantly more intrusions, unsuccessful suppressions, than the sleep group. Deficient control over intrusive thoughts had consequences, whereas in rested participants, suppression reduced behavioral and psychophysiological indices of negative affect for aversive memories. It had no such salutary effect for sleep-deprived participants. Our findings raise the possibility that sleep deprivation disrupts prefrontal cortex control over medial temporal lobe structures that support memory and emotion. These data point to an important role of sleep disturbance in maintaining and exacerbating psychiatric conditions characterized by persistent unwanted thoughts. There you go. That's a mouthful. High achievement cultures may kill students' interest in math, especially for girls. Girls were significantly less interested in math in countries like Japan, Hong Kong, Sweden, and New Zealand. But surprisingly, the roles were reversed in countries like Oman, Malaysia, Palestine, and Kazakhstan. Wonder if there's an abstract here. A new study in Frontiers in Psychology suggests that high national math achievement combined with societal pressures may contribute to how well girls and boys like math. Past research has shown that achievement-driven cultures frequently correlate with less enthusiasm for learning subjects like math. This study of over 500,000 eighth graders from 50 countries is the first to show that girls appear even more susceptible to this effect, providing insights into how to close this gender gap. True. U/new username 2017 comments. In the UK, there's a culture of, ugh, math is hard, I can't do it, I hate it, particularly in older generations, which must have an influence on newer generations. Is this a thing in other countries? Interesting. Math is a skill, U/AVDPOS. Okay, so Mac Black says yes. Math is a skill that develops differently in different children from my experience. At least I own experience in Sweden in the 90s say that schools ain't very good with people who are good at math and therefore killing the fun. So if you're bad, you get the math is hard, avoid it feeling. And if you're better than the bottom, we always wait for you get math is boring and I never get any interesting tasks. Math teachers are, in my experience, also terrible at connecting the skill to real-life workplaces. Also, not only the meme that it is hard, but many see it as pointless/useless. That's a shame. That's a shame. Scientists have found even when cardiovascular risk factors were optimally controlled, adults with type 2 diabetes had a 21% higher risk of cardiovascular disease and 31% higher risk of heart failure compared to those without diabetes. Does this have an abstract? Let's find out. Nope. Even when cardiovascular risk factors were optimally controlled, adults with type 2 diabetes had 21% higher risk of cardiovascular disease and 31% higher risk of heart failure compared to those without diabetes. Professor Sarah Wild, co-senior author from the University of Edinburgh, added, "Our team sought to determine how the degree of risk factor control in people in the UK with type 2 diabetes affects CVD risk mortality compared to people with type 2 diabetes who had all risk factors optimally controlled and to people who do not have type 2 diabetes." Dr. Elizabeth Robertson, Director of Research at Diabetes UK, said, "This research, funded by Diabetes UK, shows that although having type 2 diabetes adds to the risk of developing heart disease, by keeping blood sugars, blood pressure, and blood fats in a healthy range, and having a healthy lifestyle, you can minimize that risk. It is also an important reminder that people with type 2 diabetes should not delay taking steps to prevent heart disease." U/Wagamaga comments. Well-managed adults with type 2 diabetes have 21% higher risk of developing cardiovascular disease compared to the general population, according to research. Your research from the University of Manchester, led by Professor Martin Rudder and Professor Darren Ashcroft, in collaboration with the University of Edinburgh, is published in the journal Circulation and was supported by Diabetes UK. I feel like I read this already. Reduced sleep duration and sleep deprivation significantly correlates with decreased brain white matter integrity in healthy young adults, which may explain the positive association between sleep duration and overall cognitive performance. Summary: sleep long, think better. True. A subtle shift in language, silently referring to oneself using one's own name and non-first person singular pronouns, distance self-talk, promotes emotion regulation through reduced emotional reactivity when people are reflected on negative experiences. U/Kim Yud comments, U/Kim Yud finds herself disappointed after reading an interesting abstract followed by a $35 paywalled article, but she's confident that her emotional regulation skills are up to the challenge. Nice. It's pretty funny. Damn, I do that a lot. Philosophically. Children are willing to make personal sacrifices to punish wrongdoers, and even more so if they believe punishment will teach the transgressor a lesson. Retribution is a driving force in young children's moral judgment. Many children are willing to make personal sacrifices to punish wrongdoers, and even more so if they believe punishment will teach the transgressor a lesson, a new Yale study published November 23rd in the journal Nature Human Behavior shows. Children first had to decide whether to punish the art destroyer by taking away their iPad. However, if the children decided to punish the transgressor, they would have to make a personal sacrifice. Their own iPad would be locked away. Children in the second group, who knew that the wrongdoer would be told why he or she is being disciplined, were 24% more likely to punish than the first group. U/Talktober comments. I'd be interested to know more about the kids in their sample. One author says children are less exposed to social ideas about how to behave in certain ways. Seems like the underlying assumption there is because they have less exposure to ideas, their natural impulses will be more exposed. But that honestly seems like a huge assumption to make. Since the kids were between the age of 4 to 7, which covers a huge range of developmental milestones. Even the youngest still has 4 years of being punished or disciplined by their own parents at the very least. What if they're not exhibiting natural inclinations as much as they are reflecting what they've observed and learned? Good point, good point. Self-continuity forms the very basis of identity. Every time you use the word I, you're referring to a thread that stitches a series of experiences into a tapestry of a lifetime, representing the relationship between the self of your youth with one yet to emerge. U/Ribnag comments, very cool work, but, of course there's a but, I don't see any clear connection between their conclusion, which you summarized nicely in your choice of quotes for the title, and what they measured. They found a speck of brain that responds a certain way to pictures of ourselves in an image recognition task. Okay, that's actually pretty impressive, but what the heck does it have to do with anything described in the title? True. We read that one already. World news. French police fired tear gas at protesters rallying in Paris against a bill that would make it a criminal offense to film or take photos of police with malevolent intent. U/Ashton Carnos comments, malevolent intent is interesting wording. I think there's a very strong argument that filming police brutality, corruption, or other dereliction of duty is done with benevolent intent. France protests turn violent as people demonstrate against new filming law and police brutality. Thousands of people have taken part in protests in France against a proposed new law that would ban the filming of police. On Saturday evening, Clifford said police officers in Paris were reacting very forcefully against protesters, and many buildings are on fire. People took part in dozens of rallies against the legislation which would make it a crime to publish photos or video of an on-duty police officer with the intent of harming their physical or psychological integrity. U/PB comments, less transparency is not really what you want between your police force and the public. A 1-year-old infant in Canada has been fatally shot in an incident involving police officers who opened fire on a pickup truck while responding to an alleged kidnapping. The mistake here was firing into a vehicle the police suspected had a hostage in it. That is the epic level fuck up. Killing the child was the result of this epic level fuck up. If they hadn't known about the child, this would have merely been an unfortunate accident. The police had no excuse here. In this case, they were stopping. By the way, this is a comment by U/Factanonverban. Oh, fact, a non-verb. True. In this case, they were stopping the vehicle because they knew it contained a hostage. Knowing the guy driving it had a hostage, they decided not to follow protocol and back off in order to negotiate. Instead, they decided it was worth risking the child's life to kill the driver rather than not risk the child's life and de-escalate the situation. This is piss poor. No, not piss poor. This was a choice to deliberately endanger an innocent person, namely the dead child, all in the name of ignoring best practices, their training, and the hostage's life. There's literally no excuse for them to have opened fire on the car. None. Pope blasts those who criticize COVID restrictions in the name of personal freedom. Pope Francis praised healthcare workers and criticized those who are protesting restrictions imposed by governments to stop the spread of COVID-19 in a New York Times op-ed. Some governments have shrugged off the painful evidence of mounting deaths with inevitable, grievous consequences, and other governments that have acted decisively have received pushback. To come out of this crisis better, we have to recover the knowledge that as a people, we have a shared destination, Francis wrote. U/Bucka comments, I'm concerned that Slate magazine has taken Pope Francis's simple and eloquent plea in his letter to the New York Times for all of us to care for one another and labels it Pope blasts those who criticize COVID restrictions. This is the kind of language that inflames anger and disgust between political tribes and, not coincidentally, grabs eyes and sells ads. True. Famous gay penguin couple at Australian zoo adopts another chick. We are beyond excited to welcome the new penguin chicks to our colony. That Pope is Omega based. True. Although the news reporting is they're doing really well in gaining weight. I agree, McBlack. They started at around 95 grams. Now our oldest is almost 2 kilograms, and the youngest is sitting around 399 grams, said Carrie Dixon, Sea Life Sydney Aquarium Penguin Supervisor, in a press release. This is the second baby this couple has adopted after successfully hatching their first egg in 2018. They gave birth to their first chick, Laura. The couple were given the egg by staff from a heterosexual couple that had 2 eggs already. Wow. UK government ready for a 100% increase in Hong Kong citizens coming to UK. The government is preparing for a 100% increase in the number of Hong Kong citizens coming to Britain after Boris Johnson offered up to 3 million residents sanctuary. The Foreign Office estimated that 200,000 people would move from Hong Kong to the UK, but a leaked internal briefing paper warned of a rapid rise in the issue of British national passports since June. B&O passports in Hong Kong were granted special status in the 1980s, but currently have restricted rights and are only entitled to visa-free access to the UK for 6 months. U/Richard Keith, 1984, comments, F government overreach. I think young people growing up with internet will not be as submissive as previous generations. My heart goes out to so many countries' citizens subjected to suppression and totalitarianism. Alright, I'm going to read the last one. But Putin still won't graduate Biden despite start a formal transition. That's funny. Tackling drunken students by night, teaching by day. PhD students say they are being exploited. McDonald, who receives no salary for being an assistant warden, says she and other PhD students in her position face massive amounts of abuse from undergraduates upset about being told to stick to the rules. Another PhD student in her department says that young researchers are furious with UKRI, but feels that universities often forget to communicate with PhD students. Ruth Smith, who is in the 3rd year of her PhD at Leeds University on the relationship between gender, agriculture, and climate change in Tanzania, says, the pandemic has opened my eyes to how badly PhD students are treated in the UK. In most European countries, PhD researchers are treated as staff. They are much better paid and are entitled to support like sick pay. In the UK, we are relied on as staff members but not treated that way. U/dead site. I think that's what it says. WTF are these comments? Filled with people who don't seem to understand what a PhD is and seem to think that adults performing the duties of staff in addition to the research are whiny, entitled brats for being exploited, for feeling exploited by the lack of compensation for them. Wow. U/Puppo4 says, while I was doing my PhD, the administration got a whiff that PhDs were considering unionizing and turned every PhD student into an independent consultant. No more union. All right. That's it for the show today. Boys and girls and everyone in between. Or outside of that. Thanks for watching. Have a good night.